maybe I shouldn't say this, but I met Ray down at the Hope Young meeting in Boulder last August. No, March this year. He was down there where that big skull is. And, you know, I like the guy. And after a week of hunting, I still like him, which is sort of proof of the pudding. But I had a little talk with Arnie last night, and he told me some things I thought you ought to know about this world record bear that he's got. I didn't urge him to tell this, but he just was willing to talk. He said he'd tell me the true story of shooting that bear. He said, I got that bear located, had bait out, and the big old bastard was coming. And he said, I called Ray up. He said, Ray, you know, he said Ray's really not much of a hunter. He just stumbles around the woods. I called Ray up and I said, Ray, I got a big bear coming up here. Would you like to shoot him? And he said, my God, yes, I'll be right up. And hell, he said it was 3 hours he was up here. And he said, he drove up. And I helped him out of the car and strung his bow for him. And I led him in through the brush. Said he stumbled and fell a couple of times, but I helped him to his feet. And I got him up to where this bear was sitting. He said, we got about 15 yards from him. And there was this bear. He's too full of meat to move. And Ray shot 7 arrows in slow succession, and the last one hit him in the back foot. And startled the bear. It startled the bear so much that he turned around to see what happened, and he hit his head on an overhanging limb and knocked himself out. And he said, hell, I had him skinned before he came to. And again, I apologize for mentioning that, especially in his presence, but that's a true story, as I get it, on how Ray Mastel shot that 21 and 11/16 inch black bear. In 1947, Grayling. Well, Grayling was just a hick town in those days. Bear that Ray shot.
Well, I was just going to say, we just got back in camp this Saturday night, last night of the 1976 bear camp, and we had a very interesting week with the boys from the States up, including Fred Bear. And Ray, he worked his butt off all week and never got a bear, and we went out tonight. We checked the bait that I threw out 2 days ago. We seen a great big bear on the road run into the bush, and we threw a stinky old bait in there. Ray and I went in there, and he zapped up a tree seat, and the bait had been hit. And I said, Ray, you stay here. And
that's what friends are for.
That's what friends are for. But anyways, Ray, what happened when you got in there?
Well, he came in from left of me. That'd be, you know, along by the road there. He came in and he was just walking, just a fast, steady walk. He was coming right to the bait, and I thought, well, this is it, eh? And my last night and everything else. So he got behind that hazel brush just in front of the bait in front of me, and he put on his brakes, you know, a dead stop. Never. He would start putting up his nose. Then he sat on his haunches and turned around and started going away, back, you know, back the way he came, eh? Then he turned around again, came back in, came up to that hazel brush.
Up on there now, Scott.
Came back to that hazel brush, and there he got his nose. He stopped again, and there he turned around and started going back into the bush again. So I thought, well, he's got my wind or something, because the scent was going right to the bait, eh? Well, just to the corner of that bush. So I thought, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and leave him, and what the heck he's gonna do. So finally he came back again, came out behind that hazel brush, and came head on right to the bait, And he came right to the bait, he grabbed a piece of meat, and I thought he's gonna turn broadside, but the hazel brush is maybe about 8 feet from the bait, and he backed all the way up. Just backed right up, back through that little trail, around the hazel bush, and then started eating that meat. So I figured, well, what the hell? And there's some, so he finished that piece of meat, and there he came back again, head on, picked up another piece of meat, started backing up, doing the same thing again. So I drew back and I was holding on him, and then all of a sudden he sat on his haunches. And he made an angle turn, and I let go, and I thought I got him right. I thought I had a beautiful shot, just beautiful.
Well, you got blood on your feathers.
As soon as I hit him, and when he made a quick turn, like he was already turning, and he just moved so fast, it looked like the arrow flipped right up and fell down, and he cracked through the bush here. I could hear him for about 50 yards going, and then there was no more. Of course, he went into that swamp in the back.
Yeah.
And then after I waited for about 20 minutes, I got down the tree seat, I found the arrow. I got on my hands and knees. There's not hardly any blood, I followed him up to the swamp, and it was getting too dark, And I looked through the swamp, and I couldn't see him in there because it's very narrow, that swamp. Then it gets back into open stuff again.
Well, maybe we'll get him in the morning. I'd like to say one thing. I was very proud of having my son Scott up here this week for a couple of days, and Scott was the first night he's ever sat in his life for a bear hunt, and two of us crowded onto one tree stand there, and it was a little uncomfortable, but we sat for 2.5 hours, and the last half hour was pretty exciting. A nice little black bear come in, about a 3-year-old, and Scott never moved a muscle, and I asked him if I thought I should shoot it. He says, well, wait until I see how big it is, and it was a good bear. We seen it back in the bush to start with, and maybe you'd like to tell about it, Scott. What was your impressions of your first night in bear hunting?
Well, it was fun, and now that you have to sit down and not move.
It was a little uncomfortable there tonight, though, wasn't it? If you had your own tree seat, it would be a lot better, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of crampy underneath the...
Was you excited when you seen the bear?
Yeah, my heart was going so fast I thought that he could hear it. And
Going pretty fast, was it?
yeah,
It's pretty thrilling, when you go back to school on Tuesday and tell your friends what you did up in the bear hunt, and we didn't shoot a bear, but you were...
most definitely would have been his last.
Yeah, we were within 20 yards of that bear, and he come in behind this tree, and he was coming in very slowly, and it was real quiet tonight, wasn't it? There was no wind or nothing. I think he must have known we were there or smelled us or something, but...
He was probably very scared, either from Fred Bear must have scared him the night before, or...
Yeah, Fred Bear sat there last night, didn't he? And he told us that he seen this black bear come in. Maybe Fred whistled at him or something and scared him because he wasn't going to shoot him. But we sure would have, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it was nice and nice fur on it. Made a good rug for my room.
Sure, well, you'd have a rug for your bedroom, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So we're back in camp. We got to break down camp tomorrow and get rid of all this stuff back to town, and we're going to get up real early tomorrow morning, and we're going to go and see if we can find Ray's bear. We're all hungry. I don't know what we got left to eat in camp. We'll have to round up
Wieners and sauerkraut.
wieners and sauerkraut, Don says.
Fried
And,
potatoes.
oh, right on. Right on.
I couldn't make supper because I had no gas for the lights.
Yeah. Yeah, we're out of gas and everything. That's been a big problem this week, is buying enough gas to keep us going here. But if we ever do this again, we'll remedy that. Instead of having one barrel out here, we'll have 6 of them out here, and then we won't be ever running out. Get a pump on them. So we'll sign off tonight and tomorrow. We're gonna tell you how big that bear was that Ray shot, and we'll find it. And I understand if you shoot a bear up in this camp this week, it's $100 or something, right? But anyways, that's it.
He shot himself later. Got a bottle of whiskey, went home, got out of golf, and drank about half a bottle of whiskey, and shot himself. He had shot himself 3 times.
Once,
Trying to find the heart, yeah.
Good gosh.
Did away with his dog and his horse first, didn't he?
What?
Did away with his dog and his horse first, didn't he?
I didn't hear that. I don't know.
You lived in a tent for quite a while you were building.
Yeah. Yeah, we had tough going quite a while. Oh, John is quite a guy. He ran the bank there, and in our country, a pulpwood cutter is the lowest character, lowest type person. They take a chainsaw and they can make damn good money, but they'll work long enough to get a case of beer, and then they'll shack up and drink the beer. Well, anyhow, some pulpwood cutter from Frederick, a little town 9 miles north, came into the bank one Saturday, and he had $50 in there, and he wanted to draw it out. John happened to be at the desk at the time, and he said, "Well, gee whiz." The guy was pretty well lit. He said, "Come back in my office. We'll have to talk about this." And John set him down. He said, "Now, how long have you had that money in the bank?" "Well, 2 years, something like that." And John says, "Well, you know what it costs money to run a bank?" He said, "We got to pay these girls, we get the light, the telephone, the heat." He said, "To make a long story short, there isn't any of your money left." Well, he could understand that, and he saved him his $50. He had taken out and blown it that night. He was really something. He used to hitch, he had an old sleigh with sleigh bells and fine harness and everything else. And on a good winter day, usually on the weekend, he'd go sleighing around town there. It was quite a deal. Bells ringing, horse prancing. He took little Chris for a ride one day. He brought him back and he said, "Gee, we had a very interesting conversation. Chris wanted to know where you put the gasoline in the horse."
Oh, jeez.
He was about
Keep
4
going,
years
huh?
old, and
Talk tomorrow.